Déjà vu, gut instincts. Dreaming of something and then it happens. Is your brain just smart, or is it psychic? If you've ever felt a moment before it happened, hit subscribe. We're about to explain the science of your sixth sense. Thanks for watching this C-Show video. So there are tons of ways that brains make predictions, like remembering that if you touch a hot stove, you'll burn yourself and avoiding it in the future. This isn't exactly psychic ability, but it is a kind of futurism. Your brain takes past experiences and applies them to new situations. It also combines those memories with your emotions and current patterns in your life to guess what might happen down the road. And the more similar the situation is to one you've been in before, the more confident your prediction will be. For instance, when you walk into a room, your brain is already forming an expectation map based on your memory of that place. If you've been in that room before, your brain knows where the door is in relation to the windows, the desks, the couches, and where people tend to stand. Your brain is even primed to predict how people in that room might react to your presence. All of that is part of your brain trying to figure out what might happen next so you can prepare. And our ability to use our brains to forecast the future doesn't stop at predicting what might happen in the rooms we inhabit. A growing body of research suggests that our brains can sense 1 to 2 seconds into the future. Scientists have known for a while that we don't experience the world in real time. Instead, our brains construct our experience of reality by making predictions about what is happening right now based on what we know about the world. And it does this through a process called predictive coding. In other words, the brain doesn't just react to the world around us. It tries to anticipate what's coming next. So when we start to walk, our brain predicts how we'll move from one step to the next. When we reach for an object, we predict where our hand will be in relation to the object. When we speak, we predict how another person will respond. We then compare that prediction to incoming sensory information and use the difference between the two to adjust our behavior. For example, if we're re-walking toward an object and our brain predicts that we'll be farther away from it than we actually are, we'll take a step sooner. Studies have found that this ability to make predictions allows us to perceive the world 1 or 2 seconds ahead of real time. In a study published in the journal Current Biology in 2023, researchers had participants perform simple motor tasks while monitoring their eye movements. They noticed that participants' eyes moved slightly ahead of their limbs, which suggested that their brains were predicting what their limbs would do next. Another study published in the same journal used magnetic resonance imaging to measure brain activity, while participants reached for objects. The researchers found that the part of the brain responsible for making predictions lit up before the participants actually started moving. Taken together, these studies suggest that our brains can sense 1 to 2 seconds into the future. But what does this mean? Well, it means that your brain can run simulations of potential outcomes. It's giving you a chance to mentally rehearse and prepare for what's coming. You could, for example, imagine yourself giving a presentation, and your brain might simulate how it will go. Then you could adjust your preparation accordingly. That's why some athletes train in their minds, visualizing themselves performing perfectly. They know that their brains can simulate what it feels like to succeed. Okay, so fast forward, rewind, pause, play, all pretty straightforward. Your brain makes predictions to help you navigate the world. But what about déjà vu? We feel it, but can we explain it? Well, déjà vu literally means already seen in French, and refers to the feeling that something you re-experiencing has already happened. Déjà vu is often accompanied by a sense of familiarity, as though you've already encountered the current situation in the past. But in actuality, you're experiencing something for the first time. While the exact cause of déjà vu is unknown, it's generally thought to occur when your brain mistakes a familiar pattern for something entirely new. In a study published in Frontiers in Psychology in 2022, researchers proposed that déjà vu happens when your brain encounters a new situation that it has some limited memory of. Meaning there's a mismatch between your perception of the situation and your memory of it. Your brain attempts to resolve this mismatch by accessing relevant memories and comparing them to the current situation. Once it finds a match, you experience déjà vu. So it's not magic, but it is magnificent. So far, we've talked about how your brain uses its knowledge of the world to make predictions, and how it uses memory to create a sense of familiarity. But what about dreams? Dreams can be bizarre, nonsensical experiences that often defy the laws of physics and logic. They can transport us to fantastical worlds and introduce us to strange characters that we've never met before. But despite their seemingly random nature, dreams may actually be your mind's way of processing multiple timelines and probabilities simultaneously. According to a theory known as the parallel universe model of dreaming, the brain creates multiple potential realities while we sleep, and we travel between them in our dreams. This model suggests that each dream represents a different possible outcome, based on different decisions that could have been made in our waking lives. As we progress through our dreams, we encounter different scenarios and outcomes that reflect the potential consequences of those decisions. Ultimately, this model proposes that the brain selects the most promising timeline to pursue in our waking lives. In other words, we're constantly making decisions that create forks in the road of our lives. Every time we choose one path over another, we create a new timeline that could potentially lead to a different outcome. Our dreams, according to this model, allow us to explore these different timelines and see what might happen if we had made different decisions. This could be a way for our brains to assess the potential consequences of our actions and ultimately help us make better decisions in our waking lives. Essentially, this model suggests that our dreams are a kind of simulation that allows us to test, drive different versions of ourselves in our lives. Of course, this is just one model of dreaming, and there's still a lot that scientists do understand about why we dream. But it's an intriguing idea that suggests our brains are capable of simulating multiple realities at once. So your brain is a prediction machine, can sense the immediate future, helping you prepare for what's coming. It also uses memory to create a sense of familiarity, and in dreams, it can simulate multiple timelines and probabilities. But your brain doesn't read the future, it simulates it, using every bit of data it has available from your life. Your brain builds models of your environment and runs simulations to try to understand what's happening right now and what might happen next. These simulations help you make decisions and take actions in the present moment. So the future isn't unknown, it's just unwritten. But your brain is already sketching it in pencil. If that expanded your thinking, subscribe to the SCI show stream. We dive into your mind every week and explore what science says about your thoughts, feelings, and experiences. See you there.